Hello, everybody. I'm back in a new form. Um, Now, this is one of my hobbies that I love doing. Simple as that. I'm not going to go too much into it because people want you to explain why it is you do what you do. It's like, I'm not going to explain it to you. If you don't understand things by now, nothing I can do. But that's not the real reason I'm here. I'm actually not here for that. I'm here to start doing more reviews, however, in a different form. Um, I thought to keep my other channel going, but with all the comments about coming out, I had completely put my put all my videos to private. Eventually, I'm gonna kind of go over some of the things that I went over previously, because there is some updates on some things. Um, but there are a lot of updates recently in the not only emulation, but mini systems, computer systems, a lot of different things that I'm really interested in. I'm going to keep it as low budget as possible, at least until I'm still not in a new place. There's been kind of a pandemic, so that's been kind of hard to get another place. So I'm going to be staying here temporarily as long as I can. Um, Once I get a bigger place, I plan on actually getting an office so I can actually do videos, you know, with my other job and stuff, and actually see where this takes me. I've always been interested in YouTube videos for the longest time. Started kind of as a My previous channel kind of started as a college thing that I was doing. That was we had a choice to run a blog or anything like that. I said, you know what, I'll just use YouTube. It's the easiest thing, and I get to just run my mouth about stupid stuff. So I think I kind of want to still focus on stuff like this. Of course, you know, talking about the changes in myself. That's definitely something I want to address, but I don't want it to make it the only thing that I'm talking about. Because then it just seems like you're just people like to judge, and honestly, I'm not really offended by it. I'm more saddened by it to see people like that. It's like you don't even know who I am. um, but anyways, so I'm standing here with the. Now this has been a long time coming. This has been out for a while. It's been out for a couple of years. Let's get it straight. But Commodore 64 Mini. I was really not exactly looking for this system, but when you have those late nights on Amazon and you're just like, wow, this thing is going for 50 bucks US. So I picked one up. And I'm glad I did because it is a nice little computer. I have a Commodore 64 motherboard sitting there. It's not in the case anymore. I don't know if it works ever since I did the S video mod on it. It's been acting kind of funny. I'm still trying to get it back in its original case. And then I also do have a Commodore 64 that I had put a Raspberry Pi in. This is much simpler than that. Now, of course, there's probably going to be lag with a HDMI, system like this. I mean, it is still using emulation. It looks like it's using a version of it's a Cloanto product, so it's probably using something similar to like Commodore 64 Forever or C64 Forever. Hey, I don't know what that was about. I found something I was looking for in that box, though. Found a credit card in the box that I had already deactivated. I was like, oh, there's where I put it. So my little Commodore 64. Now I've, of course, been in this box already, so it's not really an unboxing. I was surprised on how versatile it is, and how easy it is to get my library of games that I have backed up to work on here, as well as programs, GemOS and stuff like that. I think it's Gem OS. So of course you get the console. You get an advertise for Antstream. Quick setup guide for your Commodore 64. No programming book, which that's something I think was missed on this console. Because you can run BASIC, I think they should have included a basic programming book so you can make games. That was kind of one of the where they dropped the ball a little bit. The controller's nice. I never had this kind of controller. Actually, when I had the Commodore, I never had a Commodore 64 prior to a couple years ago. I usually use the Sega Genesis controller with an adapter. I never used this on the VIC-20 though, and this is similar to what people was using on the VIC-20. I use just a regular Atari joystick for my Commodore VIC-20. So this was kind of new. So I don't really have any prior knowledge of how this operates compared to an actual one. So put it in the comments. Is this a good controller, or should I be looking at getting an adapter and getting an original one? Because I mean, this system uses USB, but that shouldn't be too hard to adapt. Now this isn't a part of the system, but this is all my backup games. I took a lot of them from cassette. That took a long time to do. But I was backing up from cassettes way before the internet, so most of my cassettes were backed up onto. I was backing them up on 5 1/4. 5 1/4. Yeah, it was a 5 1/4 inch disc. I was backing them up on my grandmother's computer, which she had an IBM compatible. I think she had a NEC, I want to say, or some brand like that. But I did go ahead and buy this splitter so I can run the games, other controllers and a keyboard. Because this will allow you to play games without any modification of the existing hardware. You can run the games just fine. Which, compared to all the other consoles, I think that was very forward thinking of them. Because there are a lot of Commodore 64 users that they don't want to go download a bunch of ROMs from somewhere. They want to have their actual games. So at least they have a way to get those games onto a thumb drive or a USB hard drive and be able to play these. And I even looked at, and I think LGR did one on this. I think you can, was it LGR? It might have been the 8-bit guy, either one. I believe if you get a 5 1/4 floppy, like one of the USB ones, I see them on eBay sometimes, or like a cassette interface, I think you can still load the software in here. I'm not, don't quote me on that, because that's a story for another day. I was disappointed that the little keys don't work though. That would have been a nice touch if the little keys actually work like keys. I wouldn't program on it, but just to have keys that even if they didn't really function for anything, or if like just for menu commands, like has some of the buttons that you can kind of squish in. I don't remember the spacebar being that long on a Commodore 64. Maybe I'm wrong. I have one sitting over here somewhere, but it's packed away. That's why I need a new place. So, all in all, this unit is pretty good. I think it's, I would say it's probably one of the best ways to play play Commodore games. The 64 games that are included, there's a lot of good ones there. So, there's a lot of good ones on here. Crap on here too. I mean, they all have a mixed bag on these things. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I have on this one. This mini console. And of course, I'm trying to push everything back in really quick on camera. So I imagine anybody else who has a Commodore Mini, how are you enjoying it? Because I mean, this thing's freaking amazing. Um, yes, the lag's still there, but I mean, I can adapt to small lag. They also made one called the Maxi. I'm not too sure about that one. Um, if anybody has one, is that an FPGA or is it still emulation? Because that's what a lot of people are moving towards, including myself, is more towards FPGA. But I still like buying these mini consoles. They're just fun little plug and play devices that you know simplify actually setting up a real system. Because given my current situation, I would love to have all my computers hooked up at a moment's notice, all of them ready to go. But unfortunately, with the space requirements I have and the power draw that I have, I don't even have enough outlets, and I don't want to be running everything on, you know, extenders and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a good find. I'm glad I was able to get that C64 Mini. There is an update that the Amiga 500 Mini is coming out. And then again, I'm not sure if I'm going to get that one. Reason being is pretty much the same way, the same reason for the Commodore 64 Mini. If it's a good sale, if it's sub $100, then I'll get it. If it's going to be $100 right now, I put this up here. If it's going to be around $135, which they're estimating it, I'm going to wait for the price to go down. Honestly, with the Amiga, they got to do a lot of convincing. I need to see how it performs because my experience with the Amiga, the at least emulation, the only emulation that I can find that's actually halfway decent is Amiga Forever on the PC. And then there's of course versions of them on the Mac and stuff like that. But because it's emulating, it still kind of requires decent hardware. In some cases, some games run better than others, of course. But if you're looking at the advanced chipset games, or if you're looking at later Amiga games, that's where you start running into weird issues with the emulation. If you're playing like stuff like Shadow of the Beast and Killing Game Show, things like that, earlier titles, you won't have any problem in emulation. But once you start hitting the 3D titles, or their attempt at 3D titles, I should say, because I mean, let's face it, Gloom is not that great of a game, or Alien Breed 3D, stuff like that. Once you get into that, then emulation kind of falls flat. But to play the classic games, fine. My thing with the Amiga is, I mean, I have an Amiga 2000 over here that I'm trying to fix because for some reason the ROM chips are busted in it. It never detects the chips, so I don't know if it's the daughter board that's messed up. I don't know if it's, and that's where the headaches start with real hardware. So emulation's good when you're not having to deal with what I have to deal with some of these old computers because they decide they don't like something and so I know this is kind of running on long. This is kind of like a catch up. I'm gonna do a couple more videos today, so you'll see this smiling face for a couple more videos. I'll jump into those right away. Mainly, I'm just trying to get a few videos out there, kind of update my situation and troubling times. Uh, the Amiga, what I'm actually going to look at doing, and I'll go over that whenever I do get the parts. I'm going to go through and work on my FPGA that I'm going to be working for to replace my Amigas if they start getting worse. I'm not At this point in time, any physical hardware I have, unless it's a good deal, I'm not really in the market for physical hardware right now. So I'm gonna go over a new pickup that I did have. Um, Very nice pickup that I had found. Um, we're gonna go over the way I'm emulating things now. Of course, I still have the Retro Freak. I might do a follow up with that one, but um, since I did the video with the Retro Freak, nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing has changed on the Retro Freak side. Um, it's sad because I was hoping that we would have MSX support on the Retro Freak. That's one computer I wouldn't have to emulate, or like Sharp X68000, ColecoVision, if they could get all that working on the emulation side, at least on that console. Not that I don't have another way to play those other systems I just mentioned, which I'll go over that in another video because that's an amazing thing. Um, but I will see you in another one. I'm gonna get at least a couple of these out today, and then maybe a couple out the next day. I want to start, pumping up the videos on the new channel to try to get something to watch because, I mean, let's face it, everybody is addicted to binge watching things. So I definitely want to get as much content out as possible. Maybe rehash a few things. Tell me what you want to see. Um, Definitely can do some, how I get this look kind of video if people like that kind of thing. I really only do that on Instagram because I do want to keep this channel more for everybody. Regardless of who you are, I would love people to come here and just check out the technology. Throw a few nice comments my way. But I'm going to go ahead and get this next one out because this thing's going to take me a little while to pull it out of where it's sitting, and it's also going to take me some feng shuiing, some camera editing, and probably but with that being said, everybody stay safe out there. I will see you in another video.